Hello, I'm Christina, and I'm here with Martina,
Hello, everybody.
and we're your podcast hosts for everyday, ordinary, extraordinary women. We were inspired to create this podcast after pondering this question: what would a world look like where we can be inspired by every person? Usually, we're very quick to compare and judge ourselves and others, and when we do that, everyone is losing. Depending on my point of view, I can either feel small because I come out lacking, or arrogant and dismissive because I feel superior. Those are the only two options from that perspective, and neither of those options make us feel very good. So here's our thought: someone's everyday normal is someone else's extraordinary. Judgment comes from our first impressions. So we invite you, the listener, to go beyond your first impressions and see the magic everywhere. There's inspiration at every corner in everyone if we're willing to look. And today we're so happy to welcome Lisa to the program. So Lisa, go ahead and introduce yourself.
Hi, my name is Lisa, as you all already know. Thank you so much for having me. I'm honored to be here today. I am a mom of a almost 10-year-old boy. Had him a little bit later in life. I'm an entrepreneur. I have been in the skincare industry for many years, actually over 20. I've done a lot of different things within, and I've always been a life learner. I've really taken a deep dive in my spiritual journey over the past 10 years, and I'm really incorporating and moving more into that world. It's really helped me develop as a person, and I feel I'm able to be my best self and give back to the world. I'm also a wife to a lovely man named Chris. And I have 5 cats, and I love them very much. They're my babies too.
Beautiful, beautiful. I love too that you had, in our little bio that you sent us, you said that you didn't like cats before. This is a whole new thing for you, embracing cats. So how'd you wind up with 5 cats if you'd never liked them before?
Yeah, it's pretty wild. My exposure to cats as a kid was never really pleasant. My grandparents had a cat, and I would sleep over, and in the middle of the night, the cat, ironically, his name was Spooky, would jump out and like scratch me. And I think I was fearful after that. So maybe cats also felt that. Fast forward, pandemic, uh, I always had dogs before my husband and I had dogs, and I love animals. We built a new house, and he said absolutely no pets, but you have a desire, especially during a time when you're so lonely. So we went to look at one kitten, and we brought it home, got his brother, and then every time we went to look, we brought home another cat. So we have 5. And I'm still married, which is great. But yeah, they're amazing. I have great animals, and they're just so sweet. They're actually like dogs. They're very, very friendly and
Do you know,
responsive.
I grew up pretty much like you. I grew up in a family where we had dogs as pets, and my dad was a cat hater. Like he just always talked about how much he disliked cats. So we never really had cats. And fast forward, my mom passed, and my dad retired, and he got a cat. We were like, "What? What is this?" And his cat was so cool, and she would do a weird thing. Like she'd like to like put her chin on the top of your head and dig, like kind of rub it back and forth. It was very strange, but she was so cool. And now like all my siblings have cats. Like my boyfriend and I have a cat. So
Yeah.
it's, and I was the same. I got scratched by a cat when I was 2 and got cat scratch fever where my throat blew up. I had to be
Oh
hospitalized.
no.
And I think it just always traumatized me between my dad's stories of cats, and it wasn't until adulthood where I really gave them another chance. So I thought that was really funny reading how you had this conversation about cats too, and then all of a sudden now you have 5. So
Yeah.
I think
I-
it's
I'm not
really
petrified anymore.
I think it's really
Clear.
cool when we have these conversations and we just think like life is a certain way, like right, like I hate cats, or and then all of a sudden you can move past it and like, oh, I didn't even know this was possible. And then for
Absolutely.
me, if cats is such a cool illustration, what else is possible, right? Where else do I think I can't excel or do something, or I just
Right.
think I don't like something? just because it's always kind of been that way. Like, I
Yeah,
think your little cat illustration is a really fun one to be like, oh, ooh, where else am I limiting myself and stuff
yeah,
like that.
definitely.
Awesome.
Or where does it not apply anymore, right?
Right.
Right.
Exactly. Exactly.
Not a one size fits all for
Yeah.
most things. Yeah.
Yeah. So Lisa,
Well,
answer.
I believe we outgrow certain things, right?
Yes.
And so as we shift and change, our outlook changes. So
Really
Yeah.
good. Yeah.
Absolutely.
So Lisa, complete this sentence for us. If you really knew me, you would know.
If you really knew me, you would know that I am a very loyal, passionate, fiery, kind-hearted, paradoxal person. It's a lot of things. Yeah.
Awesome. I love the paradoxal.
Yeah, it's very true. You know, growing up, just quickly, it's interesting looking back now. I used to have a saying, and I think a lot of people do, and it may be true for some things, but I would always say, well, it is what it is. And as I've gotten older and grown and developed, it's like, I don't believe that anymore because it's very limiting in a lot of ways. So, yeah, I'm a little bit of both, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah. I think it's great.
Thanks.
I have that saying in the kitchen, it is what it is, and then it becomes what you make it, right?
Exactly. I love that.
Because that's the, you know, like, yes, these might be the circumstances, but that's not, it doesn't, let me see how I can say this. It's not necessarily the truth of the reality of what we're seeing, because it becomes what we make it every
Yeah.
moment.
It's not the end all be all unless you want it to be.
Yeah. Yeah. So the icebreaker, just tell us something funny, like a funny, silly, or embarrassing story.
During the pandemic, shortly after, I finished yoga teacher training, 200 hours, which was an amazing program. And I was so immersed in it. You know, I was really going deeper in my own practices. You know, you're just like, your cup is so full all the time. And I love to learn and be around these types of people. So I was really embodying all my aspects of even practicing in my daily life. So I would do classes, and then I started doing yoga nidra, which for those of you that know, you know, it's like a sleep yoga. And mine was very simple. I would actually listen to something and I would lay on a mat, oftentimes outside, because it was sort of the end of the summer where the weather was nice and it was getting dark, but not too late. And I'm known for gallons of water. So I always have a gallon of water with me. It's just like what I do. So I'm laying on my blanket in my driveway, and I have a very private lot, long driveway. And, you know, I'm so immersed in this. I'm ready to like go in. I have my blanket on me. I have my water. I'm just taking in the last few minutes of really the sunshine. And then the sky starts to get a little bit darker. And I decided, let me just sit here. And all of a sudden, I have flashlights in my face. And my neighbor, who is a police officer, is saying, hello, hello. And he knows me at this point. And he says, oh my goodness. I'm like, it's me, it's Lisa. And he says, oh my goodness, Lisa, 2 people called me that drove by, you know, your house. And they said that there's a homeless person with a gallon of water and a blanket sleeping in the O'Neill's driveway. That's my last name. And I mean, it was so funny and so awesome. And also just showed me like how far removed in some ways I am from parts of my neighborhood or the world. You know, it's like, to me, doing that was nothing out of the ordinary. It was a nice thing. But 2 people called the police on me, which I'm glad they were looking out from my house. But I laughed about it for quite some time. And my family did as well. So that's something I'll remember. And I still do it. Just more inside now.
It's not in the driveway.
No, not as often. Yeah.
Oh my God,
But-
that's a good story.
Yeah. I was startled out of my yoga nidra mood from the flashlight.
Well, it's interesting too, because you think you're in your little, like, you know, isolated sanctuary, right? And you're like, wow, people even noticed me down my driveway. Like,
Yeah. And I was so able to not notice them, which was beautiful,
Yeah.
driving by or whatever.
Yep.
So
And it's nice to know your neighbors are all looking out for you. So that's a nice plus.
yeah, sure. It is at times.
Yeah.
Exactly, at times.
At times, yeah.
And it's funny because it's like, I imagine you're just zoning out and then the flashlights come and it's like, okay, there's the mood broken.
Yeah, exactly. But
Mhm.
I laugh about it all the time.
It's
So.
really good. So what would you say your superpower is?
So my superpower, and I feel like you probably hear this a lot, is my interpersonal intuition, but also empathy, which I think they kind of sometimes go hand in hand. I can really see through people, which can be good and bad. Very good because I see the potential in a lot of people. So, I'm not going to not speak to somebody because of how they look or what someone tells me, or, I'm going to feel and figure that out for myself. But at the same time, it can be challenging because I see potential that some people may not want to see in themselves. So I've learned over the years how to manage this. But I'm very empathetic. So I feel energy like you wouldn't believe. And I feel other people's energy goes hand in hand oftentimes. But sometimes, we all wear masks. So it can be helpful, but it can also be confusing. And, but I think it's really something that I've been able to kind of see through a lot of things since I was a kid, very young. My son is the same way, way more intense than me. His gifts are from another, I don't know, they're extreme.
The kids that are coming in, they're often so much more like they're standing on our shoulders, I always say, right?
Yes.
On our shoulders, but they're also like very special. They choose to come here at this time with all that is happening for whatever is happening, right?
Yes. And I think coming to peace with that, or in the last few years, really understanding that, it's helped me a lot as a parent and as a person in the world. Like, my son is going to be okay, and it is not my responsibility to run his life. I just need to support him.
Yeah.
Just fine.
Teach him tools, show him the way, and then he chose, right? Just to remember, he chose you, he chose the environment, he chose the time to be born in. We all did, right? So I sometimes think, what was I thinking? I chose this, right?
Yeah.
Really? Like, what was I thinking?
Yes.
And then I had a QHHT session, which is quantum healing hypnosis technique, something like that. And then you talk to your soul. And what came up was I was walking around like a kid in the candy store saying, I want that experience, I want that experience, I want that experience. And then the guides were saying, no, that's too much. I'm like, no, I want it all. I want it all. I'm like, really? I'm coming here to heal. bring it on.
Yeah, that's very cool.
Yeah. So this is a multiple part question, and you might answer it all with one answer or different answers, either way, or you just might answer just one. Either way is okay. So
Sure.
what made you who you are today? For example, what was your biggest lesson, or what took most courage, or when did you stand up for something that mattered to you?
I think I've been standing up for things that mattered to me for a long time, but I put that on the back burner for many years to support others. But then, you find your voice again. Well, I have, but I've had a lot of soul contracts with different family members. I've had step families, and I've been very blessed to have a lot of challenges, but then a lot of people come into my life to really teach me and support me and hold me. And they may not be here, a lot of them anymore. I've seen a lot of sickness, a lot of death, a lot of things that are hard to understand from a young age. But now that I am more into my spirituality, I really understand that they're still here. Like, they're with me, they're just transformed. And I think I've also learned a lot because I've had both a lot of supporters and people to foster, my growth, but I've had the opposite. I've had a lot of parental or just, family figures who have said to me, like, this is who you need to be. This is who we are. This is the path that you need to be on. And although I was compliant, if you will, and I do believe they were all doing what they thought was best at the time. So, I don't have like this massive, I've healed a lot of things myself, massive amount of anger. I don't have that, but I'm just so glad that I questioned all of it. So my will, my determination, my just curiosity to not conform to really like anything specifically, and figure out my own way has helped me become who I am today. It's not easy to be me at all. I don't know if it's easy to be anyone, but it's been worth it for sure. And I've gained the confidence to do, like, I know I'll always be okay. I can do things on my own. I want certain people in my life, but I don't need people. And I think that I had some codependency, just maybe because I thought that's how it was supposed to be from a young age. And then I really learned to come into my own. And I hope to break some of those patterns and teach that to my son, because all we have at the end of the day, we have to love ourselves. We have to sit with ourselves. And I'm able to do that most times now. But it's all been a learning experience. And self-awareness is key. And I want to have that. So, yeah, that's my answer.
So beautiful. Yeah.
We were just talking recently about that, right? We're born knowing that we're love, and somehow we get a pile of shit, pile up of shit, and then we have to kind of dig ourselves out of it and remember who we really are.
Yeah.
Right? That we are loved, that love is really all there is. But it and at the same time, that every experience that happened is exactly what needed to happen to bring us here today.
Yes.
So we could become who we are today, right?
Right. And that's very, very important. That getting away from that victim mentality that so many of us have been exposed to, or maybe just were in, it's huge. I don't think you can grow if you're in that state. And what you're saying is so beautiful and true and helpful.
Well, at the same time, it's quite challenging to assume responsibility.
Very.
Not blame, not like responsibility. Like I participated in this, right? I remember way back when with my kids were sitting at the table and I was like, okay, let's practice. I did it. And they're like, I didn't. I did it. I didn't. I'm like, okay. And that's exactly that, right? Because like admitting that I did it is so challenging.
Mm-hmm.
So challenging for us humans, right? I am part of it. I created this mischief, right? And I'm not saying that, small children that get abused or, or a woman gets raped. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm just talking about that this happened. You now get a choice
Of course.
how you're going to live your life. You can live as a victim of the circumstances, or you can choose to use this as a catalyst for whatever is next. Right?
Absolutely.
And what comes right now is most of the times we're so inspired by people who use it as a catalyst. That's the people that light us up usually.
Yeah.
When you hear somebody talk about an experience that was so challenging and they just rose above it, and despite or in spite, however you say that in English, everything, they just moved forward.
In spite, yeah, I agree.
Mm-hmm.
We need more people to speak out. And that's why you have this podcast, which is wonderful. I love it.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So, Lisa, you have a really busy life. What fills you up? What do you do to recharge your batteries so you have it to give and keep teaching and consulting and doing all the beautiful things you do in life?
Really, so learning and exploring and traveling. I love to learn. But sometimes I learn things just because I want to learn them. So it's not necessarily like this huge digging, pulling up. It's just learning something new about whatever it may be, a culture or an instrument or a person. And yeah, I'd love to get out of where I am. Although I have a beautiful home and I live in a very small town and there's a lot of great things about it, but I really know that the world is so big. Mm-hmm. And being in nature is really important to me. I love trees. I love mountains. So I try to do those things whenever I can. Yep. And really spend quality time with people that I enjoy and, that enjoy me just the way that I am. It took me a long time to figure out who those people were. Some have been around and, you lose some and some come back and it's all great. And I'm meeting so many wonderful people through all these spiritual things and classes and just by putting myself out there a little bit. It's really great. It's been wonderful. So
beautiful. Yeah. To just create those communities around you that support you and you can be yourself around. And yeah, it's really beautiful.
That nourish you and fill you up, right?
Yes. And I do, of course, I love, being with my family, my husband and my son, but I think it's also important to have your own things separately as well as together. So I'm a big proponent of that.
Agreed.
Yeah.
Beautiful. So tell us about the time when you took a chance for love. And it doesn't have to be necessarily romantic. It could be anything.
Yeah, I thought about this question as I've listened to some of your podcasts as well. And I would say that the time that I took a chance for love was when I wanted to have a child. And that is my son, but I didn't know if it was possible after going through a lot of different challenges and, I never really wanted a child, to be honest. Like I imagined, but I wasn't one of those people that, that's all I thought of. But then once my husband and I were able to conceive naturally, and then, that didn't happen, and many other things happened down the road, all I wanted was a child. Like I knew that at that point I was meant to bring someone into this earth. So yeah, I mean, I went and I explored options, and I went through, IVF. I had some fertility assistance, and really when I was at the end of the journey, I thought and was about to give up or move to India or do something else. It all worked, and that was really a chance at love, because I was so hurt and wounded and scared, but I knew that I needed that piece of my heart to be like with me. I mean, it was just something that I knew was caught, like there was a person that was meant to come, and he did. And it has not been easy. He is amazing. He is intense. He is challenging, but he is my whole heart, really. So I'm glad I took that chance. He's my biggest teacher and my best friend. So yeah.
Really beautiful.
I always say that our kids walk around with our hearts, and sometimes they just stomp on them, right?
Absolutely.
But they just take our hearts with them wherever they go, right? And it's like, yeah, and sometimes they stomp on them, sometimes they
Yes.
kick it, sometimes they, yeah.
Yeah, but it's all worth it. That's what it is for me.
Yeah.
So if you had a magic wand and could give people any quality, what would it be and why?
I would say, well, it's like two-part, if that's okay.
Yep.
Self-awareness, and really the ability to be able to separate a person from a behavior. So I think when people become a little more self-aware, like we've discussed, we're able to step back and maybe see like our part in whatever it is, and why we're here, and what we've learned, that it was all sort of divinely meant to be. But you have to choose to want to be self-aware. And then we live in a society, or just the world maybe has always been like this. Someone can do 700 wonderful things, but then the 3 things that aren't so great, I feel like I'm not this way. And I'm not saying everyone is, but a big majority of people, they hold on to that. And that's probably theirs, to heal. But I just wish that piece would go away. And I have to work on it too. And I teach my son, so-and-so isn't a bad person because they did this. They had a bad moment or made a bad choice. And I just think the world would be a lot different if we could do that. That's a wish of mine.
I love that. I love how you said it, the ability to separate the person from the behavior. And it's something I try to catch myself with. And for me, it's mostly when I'm driving in my car, right? Because I'm like driving and someone cuts you off, and I'm like, I hate you. And I'm like, no, I don't hate you. I just hate that you cut me off, right? Like, I don't even know you. How can I hate you, right? So I try to get better about that, right? Can I just like their behavior in the moment? And so I love that you said it that way. And for me, I'm only practicing it when I'm in my car. Like, that's my access to it. But this is a conversation I could absolutely take into life more. And yeah, that's a beautiful conversation.
Well, I think it's true for ourselves too, right? It's like, I'm
Mhm.
not a lazy person. I'm just having a lazy moment right now.
Exactly.
I'm not a cheater. I just cheated at this moment, right?
Yep.
But we often just take it as we are that, rather than, no, that's just the tiniest fraction of a part of who we are in the totality of who we are, right?
Yeah.
So it's the same for other people as well. And
Right.
and the other thing is that, you know, I remember a healer telling me at one point, I don't know who I'm going to be in 6 months or a year, right? We're constantly changing and evolving.
Mm-hmm.
But the moment we put that sticker on a person saying you are that,
Mm-hmm.
it's almost like we trap them in that cage and we don't let them grow and evolve and become different because we decided, right? At the same
Absolutely.
time, if it would apply to us, it's like, no, I'm constantly changing and evolving, right? So yeah.
Yeah. I mean, we're anyone that's in this human experience, we're going to judge and be judged. But I think the little steps, and I do it almost every day, and I'm getting much better at it.
Yeah.
So
I think that's the point, right? The practicing and
Yeah.
teaching yourself and becoming aware, because the more you open your eyes to it, the more you're going to see it, the more you're going to be able to catch it, and then you're going to be able to catch yourself before you do it rather than after after you
Right.
do it, right? Over time. So absolutely. So Lisa, who or what do you want to be when you grow up? Like, if you could be anything or do anything, be anyone, what would you be and why? Like, if there would be no restrictions, no limitations, we had somebody say that she wanted to be a fairy, anything works. A mermaid we had too, right, at one point?
Yep.
And then recently you had somebody say she wants to be the bank of love.
Yeah.
That was so beautiful, just to give out money for good causes. So,
Yeah.
so who or what do you want to be and why?
Well, I do love the mermaid one. That was when I was younger, though. I think I would want to be myself, maybe a better version, which I'm, always striving for. I want to be a speaker. I always said a writer, but to be honest, I am certainly a writer, but the technical parts aren't really my forte. So I would love to be able to speak to groups of people all over the world, to see the world, to meet different people, just about these types of things we're talking about, how to love yourself, how to love others, how to be okay with who you are, just how to connect. And it's all in our control, even though a lot of it is not. We can make the world a better place. We can create the world or the change that we would like to be. And I'm really passionate about that. So I would love to be able to educate more people, without say money wasn't involved, like being able to just expose anyone and everyone that wanted to learn, and also be able to travel all the world myself. I would love that.
The image that I just got was almost like Jesus. It was a grassroots movement, right? He was just talking to people. He was just gathering people and he was talking to people everywhere he went, right? Nothing to do with any religion, just as a grassroots movement, as a person that just goes and just starts talking. That's the image that I saw for you. I'm like, oh, that's exciting. That's beautiful.
And there's no, I think we're all one, despite I respect all religions, all cultures. I don't, yes, we're all just one. And it's not forceful. It's very, people come who want to be there,
Mhm.
So we'll
Mhm.
see.
We'll see.
Maybe.
Cannot wait.
Thank you.
So, Lisa, last question. What do you want people to remember about you?
I would like people to remember that I'm very hard on myself, and I have a very rich inner world. So, I want people to know that I'm doing my best and I'm kind, and I really truly want to help make the world a better place. Not to be, I don't do it for a fan, like I don't want to do any of what I do for a fan club or for, I want connection. I want to connect people and create community. You know, anything that I present, and I've started to really gain some traction on some of the things I'm doing, is just, it's honest, it's truthful, and it's for everyone and anyone that wants to be a part of it. You know, we all want the same things, really. Love, you know, connection, and I mean, we do want attention. Who doesn't? So,
Yeah.
yeah.
Feeling safe is another one.
Yeah. We all try to get back to safety. That's what we're doing all day, every day, no matter who we are.
And the path might be different, right? And then we fight over the right path rather than you have your path, I have my path. And,
Right.
and either path is okay. You do you, I do me, right?
I truly 100% feel that way. Yes. There is no one way and no right way.
There's no right way. There's just my way. Yeah.
Yeah.
Life would be really boring if we were all doing it exactly the same.
Totally. I think so. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, thank you.
So, do you want to tell us about your business? Do you want to tell us how people can reach you? Can you tell us what you offer?
Sure. So, quickly, myself and a longtime friend, her name is Marie, we created a business. We're just starting to open the end of this month. You know, there's always some setbacks, but we're good. It's called Peaceful Pathways, and we're a collaborative space, meaning people can come in and utilize the space and teach there as well. But we're doing yoga, Reiki, you know, meditation, breath work. We have all kinds of classes lined up, sound, really a place to cultivate community. And it's a beautiful space. We put a lot of work into it. It's accessible. We want to educate people, and we want people to come somewhere in our area where they feel like they can just be who they are. And whatever they want to get from that, you know, we want them to get. So really, really excited about it. And yeah, Peaceful Pathways. We have Instagram, Facebook, our website's almost done, but once that's done, it will all be listed on there. And we just hope it to spread this and bring, you know, like-minded or not like-minded individuals that want to learn or just want to be a part of something good to our space. So yeah, it's exciting.
It's really exciting. Yeah.
Thank you.
I love that you said like-minded or not like-minded, right? It's like, because we are right now in this very big division that we're in, right?
Yeah.
Like we have to learn how to communicate with each other as long as the other person is open to it, right?
Yes. That's the biggest lesson.
Yeah.
If someone's coming, then that means they're open. It's not, I no longer force. I used to try to teach everyone everything because I was excited. Now it's like that's not my job. It's their job to seek it out if they want to learn. And, you know, I'll be a teacher because that's part of who I am. So.
Well, we can't wait to hear more about the Peaceful Pathways and how your business just keeps growing and growing.
Thank you.
Really exciting. And where is it located?
We are in Easton, Massachusetts.
Awesome.
We're going to put all of that in the notes just for you people out there listening.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
And Lisa, thank you so much for being here. It was such a pleasure.
Thank you for having me. Pleasure on my end, you lovely ladies.
Thank you. And for you out there, thank you for being here. Thank you for listening. If you love this, please share. Please leave us a review. Please go check out Lisa's Facebook and Instagram. And please always remember that you are extraordinary. You rock. Until next time, have a wonderful day.
Bye for now. Lisa?
Thank you so much. It was my pleasure. Thank you.